specifically. Yesterday we talked about domain, range, intervals of increase and decrease between linear, quadratics, and absolute value. But just this unit is on the absolute value functions. That's the only thing that's going to be on your test. So the absolute value function formula is f of x equals a, and then absolute value of x minus h plus k. We take that to make up. Thank you. If you would like to take out some highlighters, if you have some highlighters, that will help you. I'm going to use 3. If you don't have highlighters, it's not that big of a deal, okay? So the first thing in this function is A. A determines a lot about how the graph is going to look. If A is positive, the graph will open up. So the graph is going to come to a point. And if it is positive, it's going to open up like a happy face. So it's going to be like a positive patty. That's what I call it. If A is negative, that means that the graph is going to open downwards like a negative Nancy. So it's going to look like a sad face because A is negative. So if that leading number in the very, very front of your equation is negative, opens down. If it's positive, it's going to open up. A also determines how wide the graph is going to be or how narrow the graph is going to be. So if A is greater than 1, should I highlight this? You know what? I'm going to. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If A is greater than 1, what's a number that's greater than 1?
3.
2, 3, 4, 1.5. That means that it's going to be narrow or it's going to stretch. So because you're taking some number and multiplying it by 2 or multiplying it by 3 or multiplying it by 4, that means it's going to increase quicker. So it's going to be skinnier. It's going to be more narrow. If A is between 0 and 1, what's a number between 0 and 1?
0.5.
0.5, 0.75, 0.10.
0.2.
0.2. That means it's going to be wider or it's going to shrink, meaning it's going to get closer to the x-axis. So if A is positive and it's a fraction, it's going to be wider. If it's bigger than 1, it's going to be narrow. If A is negative, it's going to be flipped upside down. If it's a fraction, it's going to get closer to the x-axis. It's going to be like a negative Nancy. It's going to be fatter. Fatty fraction. Okay. H and K is the vertex. So I want you to highlight H, or if you don't have highlighters, it's fine. H is the horizontal change on the graph. So H represents the horizontal change on the x-axis. So that's left and right, moving left and right. Your K is your vertical shift, which is up and down. So if in the back it said +3, then you're taking the graph and you're moving it up 3 units on the y-axis. Okay, so we're going to talk about a really quick, small example. If I have the function f of x equals -1/2 multiplied technically by the absolute value of x minus 5 plus 3, will the graph open up or down?
Down.
Down. Why down?
Because it's negative.
Because A is negative. Will it be normal? Will it shrink or will it stretch? Stretch means it's multiplying by a whole number, like 3, 4, 5. Stretch means skinny.
Oh,
Shrink is getting closer to, it's technically shrinking because it's closer to the x-axis. It's getting fatter. So this is getting shrunk. Shrink, or normal, I'm sorry. Normal is when A is equal to 1 and there's no number out front. So that's going to be like happily just in the middle, not skinny, not fat, just chilling. Okay? And then what is the vertex of this? Does anyone want to take a guess at what the vertex is?
-5 plus 3.
No.
Then it's -2.
Nope. Does anybody want to take
What's
another
the
guess?
vertex again?
The vertex is H and K.
Added together?
No, it's a corner point. What? It is 5.
Isn't it -5?
Oh.
It is not.
No, because absolute value.
The reason why is because in the formula there is a minus sign. So the H is not negative. If the H was negative, if 5 was negative, what would that become? Would that be a minus sign or a plus sign? It'd be a plus. So really, if it's in the brackets, it's opposite of whatever it says. So if it says +3, then really the x value is -3. If it says x minus 2, then really it's just positive 2. So inside the brackets, it's opposite. K is always whatever it says, okay? So let's do question number 1. So I'm going to show you the way to do it long, and then I'm going to show you the cheat way based on A, okay? We're going to do the first two like doing kind of how we did yesterday. So the parent function of an absolute value equation is f of x equals the absolute value of x. This is the most simple absolute value function you can have. A is equal to 1. It's positive. It's not shifting left or right. It's just super neutral in the middle, just chilling like a villain. So if I plug in -2 to this equation, what's the absolute value of -2?
2.
2. What's the absolute value of -1?
1.
1. What's the absolute value of 0?
0.
And then
1 and 2.
perfect. So I want you to plot those points and create your absolute value function. It should look like a V, not a U. It's not a parabola. It's not a quadratic equation. So it should come to an exact point, which is actually called the vertex.
This is a U problem? No,
It's a V problem.
It's an absolute value.
It is a V. It's an absolute value equation, so it comes to a point. It is what Nick was saying. It's symmetrical to itself. It has an axis of symmetry, which we're also going to talk about. On your graph, I want you to point to the vertex and put vertex. Through the vertex is the axis of symmetry,
The y-axis.
which is, in this case, the y-axis. So we're going to draw that in with a dashed line. If you don't have a highlighter, you can just use your pencil. It's fine. So this is the axis of symmetry. It's a mirror image of itself on both sides. So let's talk about the vertex. What is the vertex as a coordinate point? 0, 0.
Oh, I got it.
What is the axis of symmetry as the equation, like a vertical line? X equals what?
Why?
X equals somebody 0. The domain in this case, what's the possible X values?
All real numbers.
So the axis of symmetry, really quick, this shifts left and right depending on where my vertex is. So it could end up over here, and that's where the V would start. It's the vertical line equation, a linear function. It starts at it's X equals 0 because it is a vertical line going through 0 on the X axis. It will shift left and right, so it's not always X equals 0. It'll be like X. It's technically the X value of your vertex.
It
doesn't matter.
The X value is all real numbers. The domain is all real numbers.
All real numbers.
So I'm confused.
So
Is it
just
the
where the
y-axis?
point closes.
It is the y-axis, but the y-axis as an equation is X equals 0.
Wouldn't the y also be greater than or equal to 0?
It's not always all real numbers, but for this stuff, it is. Soon we're going to get into like squiggles with open dots and stuff. Okay, so range, that's your y's.
Y is greater than or equal to 0?
Y has to be greater than or equal to 0. The reason why it's greater than is because it's opening up. So that means every value above 0 is being used for this equation, not less than, because it's opening up. So if it's a positive patty, A is positive, that means you have a greater than symbol for your range. Does this have a maximum or a minimum?
Yeah, that's 0.
Minimum, and the minimum is 0.
Yeah.
The intervals of increase, you have two sides of your graph. You have the left side, you have over here, and you have the right side. Which side, left or right, is increasing?
Oh.
No.
No, the right side.
The right side is increasing.
Because the other side
At-
The right.
At what X value does it start
0.
increasing? So does it have to, if I'm talking about increase, should X be greater than or less than 0?
Greater than.
Greater than, because I'm talking about the numbers bigger than 0. This is the portion that's increasing, so I'm saying X has to be greater than 0. Decrease is the left side, that's at 0, and that's before 0. So X has to be less than 0.
Why is it not 1?
Because at 0,
It's not increasing or decreasing.
it's neutral, that's the vertex, that's where it's turning.
Oh, okay.
End behavior, is it increasing or decreasing overall? Increasing. So what I want you to think about really quick is, in this case, what is my A value?
What's A's again?
What is my A value? Sal?
Whoa. Oh. You should choose
0?
Yenny?
1.
It is 1. Why is it not 0?
Because a number times 0 is 0.
Every number would be 0 then. So this a value is equal to 1. So it's neutral. This is the parent function of a absolute value function. So what I want you to think about, it's not technically slope, but it's kind of like the cheat system. If a is equal to 1, all you have to do is really find the vertex and then rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1.
I'm not going to do that.
If a is 2, because it's going to be a number out front, then you would rise 2 and run 1 because it's skinnier. If a was a fraction like 1/2, you would just rise 1 and run 2. You'll see once we get into the next example.
How do we find what A is?
A is in the front. Look,
Yeah.
so this is your function. A is in the front. If there's nothing in the front, it's not 0, even though a number that represents nothing is 0. If you had 0 out front, that would multiply to make everything being equal to 0. It's 1 because 1's your neutral. 1 times anything is just itself. Okay, so let's go to number 2. Number 2, this says g of x is the absolute value of x minus 4 plus 2. I didn't tell you what numbers to use, so this point has to be the vertex because you're going to want some values before the vertex and after the vertex because that's where it turns at, right? So does anybody think that they could tell me what the vertex is?
0?
No.
It's 4, 2.
It is 4, 2. So the vertex, this is h and this is k. So the vertex is 4 and 2. It's not -4 because it's opposite of what the brackets say because the minus sign is part of the formula. Okay. Now, what is the number that comes before 4?
3.
3. And then before 3?
2.
2.
And 5 and 6.
And 5 and 6. Okay. So if I were to, this is the last example we're actually going to use a table for, and then I'll show you how you could technically use, once again, like the slope to work around. If I plug in 3 to this, what is 3 take away 4?
-1.
-1. What's the absolute value of -1?
1.
1. What's 1 plus 2? 3. Hello.
Hey, just got a quick question. Did any of you guys on your walk into this class see anybody with frisbees or anything out there?
I did, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah, yeah,
They were playing in that.
They're near that side, yeah.
There was a milk crate of frisbees right on the corner.
Yeah,
The
they
whole
were
milk
playing-
crate's gone. 25 frisbees gone. I don't
We
know where
didn't see
they
who
went.
they were.
I saw
but-
people playing with it, but I don't know who they
Yeah, I
are.
didn't know who they were.
I didn't see it.
Like during class or in between classes?
In between classes.
All right.
I didn't get that.
Pretty sure it's from
No.
Twitter.
I don't know how to cut the videos. Okay. If I plug in 2, what's 2 minus 4?
-2.
What's the absolute value of -2? 2. What's 2 plus 2? 4. Okay. And if the vertex is the turning point and it's symmetrical anyways, do I even need to plug in the other numbers?
Yeah.
No, because it's symmetrical. So aren't the points going to end up on the same exact place, like on the other side? So what's the y value for 5?
3.
And what's the y value for 6?
4.
So take a minute, plot your points. Is this right? Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
I forgot the last point. I'm sorry. I was like, why is it a line? I forgot to plot 5, 3. I can't plot 6, 4, but you know it would just continue going over, right?
Yeah.
So let's just eyeball it. Put your lines. Why is this graph opening up and not down?
Because
Sal? Wyland? Because the A is positive. Since A is positive, and in this case, what is A?
1.
1. That's why from your vertex, you're rising 1, running 1. You're rising 1, running 1, rising 1, running 1. Because A is 1, that's basically like the slope going in both directions. I want you to draw on your axis of symmetry with a like a dashed line. Even if you're just using a pencil, it's fine. What is the vertex as a coordinate point?
4, 2.
4, 2.
Axis symmetry is x equals 1.
The axis symmetry is x equals 4. It's a vertical line, so it's x equals and every value is 4.
X is all real numbers.
Domain is all real numbers. Oh, crap. That's all real numbers. Ew, it's ugly. Whatever. The range. Now you're talking about the graph, so it's opening up. So is it going to be greater than or is it going to be less than?
You forgot to close your
It's
parentheses.
y is greater than or equal to 2.
Y has to be greater than or equal to 2.
After that,
Is this a a minimum or a maximum?
Minimum.
It is a minimum. What is the minimum?
2.
2. That's the lowest it's going to go. Interval of increase. You have two sides to this graph. Looking at the axis of symmetry, you have the left side of the graph and you have the right side. Which side is increasing?
The right.
The right. So is that going to be x is greater than
X
or
is greater than
x
4.
is greater than?
Yeah, 4.
Greater than 4. You should let me finish talking.
Can you explain range when we're done with this problem, just quickly?
The interval of decrease is the opposite side of obviously increase. So this portion's decreasing because from left to right it's going down. So x has to be, is it less than or is it greater than? Less than 4.
I was just saying random things.
Can you stop? Is this, what M behavior is it?
Increasing.
Increasing. Okay, so let's talk about range really quick. Increase. The interval, you look at the x value of the vertex. If it's increasing after, it's greater than 4. If it's, since it's positive, this is the decreasing part, so x is less than 4 for decrease.
Okay.
If it was the opposite, which we're going to get into a negative Nancy, then it's technically the opposite. It would be x is less than 4 for increase, x is greater than 4 for decrease. Range, you're looking at the smallest y value that can be used. So the smallest y value that's ever going to be used is 2. It never touches 1. It never touches 0. It's never going to cross the x-axis. So everything has to be greater than 2.
And if it was decreasing, it would be everything is less than 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go to number 4. How much time do we have?
We have still like 20 minutes.
Oh, we have 20 minutes. Okay, perfect. So let's go to 3. No, should we do 4? Let's do 4. Okay, so 4 says R of t equals 1/2 absolute value of t plus 3 plus 5 because you're not always going to have x, so this is t. Without using the table of values, let's kind of manipulate using just our a value, okay? So what is the vertex in this case?
3, 5.
Ooh,
-3, 5.
It's not
it's -3. This is h, this is k. In the formula, there's already a minus sign. So that means if this is a minus sign to start and now it's a positive, that h has to be negative to make that plus. So the vertex is -3, 5. I mean, the formula has a minus sign.
Oh.
So to make it a plus sign, h had to be negative.
Oh, okay.
So the way to remember it is it's always opposite of the brackets. Even when we do parabolas, it's going to be opposite of the parentheses. So whatever's in the brackets or the parentheses, it's opposite of whatever it says. So if it says +3, it's really a -3. If it says +2, then it's a -2.
So that means our vertex is -3.
Yeah, so our vertex is -3, 5.
Oh, this is
The axis of symmetry is -3.
Yeah, and it's opening down.
It does open down. So in this case, I want to skip this part. I don't even want to use this. I want you to know how to graph these without using a table of values. Could you make a table of values every single time? Yes.
Yeah.
But if it's on the EOC, they're not going to have a table of values for you to calculate. You would have to know to make a table of values. So using the slope or the A value, I know if it opens up or if it opens down. So is this going to open up or down? Down. Since A is negative, it's a negative Nancy. It's going to be a sad face. Okay. How much am I going to go down and how much am I going to go over?
Down 1 over 2.
Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. Because instead of going up 1 and over 1, it's cutting that value in half. So I'm really going down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. So this one looks really weird because it's not centered, right? But it's fine. It's totally fine. The axis symmetry I want you to draw in. It cuts through the vertex. That's where the symmetry happens. The coordinate points would match on each side if I zoomed out forever and ever. Does anybody know the equation for the axis symmetry?
Wait. Why would it
Oh, yeah,
going
yeah.
to the left? If the slope is.
The reason why it's going to the left is because you're going down 1 over 2. It's negative. So the top number is how much you're going up or down. Still, it's rise. This is still the run. So either way, you go both ways. You go down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the left 2, because it's an absolute value function, so it matches on both sides. It's not a linear function.
Oh, okay.
I just want to say the axis.
What is it?
It's just negative.
X equals -3. Can somebody raise their hand and tell me the domain? Tell me the domain. Oh, no, you don't want to do the domain? Anybody else? Sal?
Yeah.
It's all real numbers. You want to tell me the range?
No, I was just gonna do it. Is there any case where the domain is not all real numbers?
Yes, we will get to that eventually.
said that so many times.
I know. I feel like I should repeat myself literally all day. The range.
Is y is less than or equal to 5?
Y has to be less than or equal to 5. 5 is the highest it's going to go. This time it's not a greater than symbol because it's not opening up, it's opening down. So all the y values are going to be at 5 or below 5. It's never going to get to 6, 7, 8, never.
The maximum is 5.
Yes, it has a max this time of 5 because it's opening down, so it has a highest value of 5. The highest value is 5. Interval of increase. From left to right, I have two sides. I have this side and I have this side. So which side is increasing, the left or the right?
Left.
The left. So how would I say that if it's
Less.
x has to be
Less than.
less than
Negative.
-3?
Oh, I forgot it was. Oh. And then the other one is x has to be greater than that.
X has to be greater than -3 because after -3, that's when it starts decreasing. It's going down this time because A is negative, which makes it a frowny face.
The end behavior is decrease.
And the end behavior is decay or decreasing.
Decay. Why would it?
Because we say growth or decay when we get to exponential functions. So sometimes when we do end behavior is really for exponentials. I mean, all of them get it, but specifically we talk a lot about it for exponential functions, and you say growth or decay instead of increase or decrease. It's the same thing. How do we feel?
I understand it more.
Yeah? Do we understand it more? Okay, so I want you to try 3. If you want to use the table of values, you can. If you understand how to use A to maneuver around, you can try to do it without the table of values. So take a minute.
How much 5, 6, 7, 8?
I have a different sheet for you.
Yeah. Oh wait, this isn't gonna be.
Do your math. Reverse.
You do your math.
Oh, there are people.
I already did my math.
This is all the same as
Do you mind?
No, I'm not doing your math. I passed Algebra 1.
I was so close. So close.
Wait, y'all.
This trip has no curve.
Oh, Nikki's out
They're all
there?
playing.
It has a curve, but it's like a very slight
Oh, is
curve.
Nikki's out there?
What are you, Al's out there? Oh my god.
Oh.
I don't determine the curve. The district determines it.
Yeah, they like maybe like if you get
Fully
75.
not.
Yeah, but it's different for each class.
Oh, Nicole,
It's not the same across the board.
I
I am recording this. You should be trying this lesson and not being obnoxious, Nick.
Can't you?
It's going on YouTube.
Can't you edit?
You're
Are you done? Okay, keep going.
I've been before you.
No.
We should help.
Doing 5, 6, 7, 8.
JK, bring it over here, Nicole.
What if you like get? Don't let her big nose get on the pen. Is that?
She's leaving.
For what?
This way.
Fired for what?
That's mine.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
So far?
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Wait,
Let's
the
see.
axis of symmetry is x, right?
It's the x value in the vertex, yes.
The domain. Wait, is it? Bro, why did I guys?
Oh my god, I'm so proud.
The only thing I'm having trouble with is increase and decrease. But I think I got that one.
That's correct. Oh my god, look at you guys. You're getting it right. You guys are like big kids now. Nice.
Axis of symmetry is x.
That's perfection so far.
Oh.
I didn't.
No, I literally did.
Yeah, I know, but I need
It's not positive 1, it's negative 1. Because K is negative, so the vertex is 2, -1. So your graph is wrong. You should be using a pencil, sir. Really quick, if you want to check your graph with mine, I'm not going to show the answers, but number 3, your graph should look like this. If you're using the wrong graph, you're going to get the key features of the graph wrong because the graph is wrong. It shouldn't be or equal to 2. It should be just greater than 2, or it's, because it can't be increasing and decreasing at the same time.
Well, I didn't put my numbers in. I just answered this.
Yeah, you don't need the numbers. Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm so proud. You guys actually understand it.
No,
Do we understand this better today? Okay, so let's go over the, yeah, that looks a lot better. Let's go over the answers. Does anybody want to tell me what the vertex is? Nicole? 2, -1. Can anybody tell me the equation for the axis symmetry? Nicole? X equals 2. Shh. What is the domain? Nicole? All real numbers. Okay, what is the range? Wyland? What? That's not right. I thought you brought it over.
Equal to -1, you silly.
Yeah, y has to be greater than or equal to -1.
Oh, I was looking at the second one, sorry.
What the heck? Oh, okay. The max and the min, there's only a minimum. The minimum is -1. The interval of increase is when x is greater than 2. The decrease is the opposite of that, which is x is less than 2. And the end behavior is increase. How do we feel? Did we do okay? Does it feel better today versus yesterday?
I got it right.
You got it right? Okay, good. Let me end this recording.
Please don't take anything like animals.
Okay, bye, YouTube channel.
And